Hello YouTube, it's Sign here with Hobbies and Man once again, and today we're going to be doing another manga review. Today we're going to be looking at Haikyu, and we're going to be looking at the second arc, which is called the Interhigh Tournament Arc, and it's chapters 36 through 71. So it's the next 30-something chapters in the story out of 420, I think it's what the story is. Probably less than that, like 403, I think. But yeah, we're looking at the second arc. Again, it's written by Haruichi Furudate, it's Viz, it's shonen. It's a volleyball manga, it's coming of age, and it has elements of comedy. However, I wouldn't really say that comedy is a strong genre in this. It's just something that shows up every once in a while. And it does have an adaptation. It's on Netflix, I think, right now, if you guys want to watch it. So let's get into the premise here, and this might be a shorter review because there's a lot more that happens here, but it's all mostly condensed into two different games, right? So the premise here is basically that the team has been formed. Everyone has finally joined back up. There is no more issues. Everyone is where they need to be. We have Asumane as the ace. We have Hinata as one of the wing strikers or the wing hitters, something like that. We have Tsukishima. We have the libero, which is Nishinoya. We have the second hitter, which is Tanaka. And we have the setter as Kageyama. I think that's 7 characters. And yeah, that should be it. And they're ready to head into the Interhigh tournament, which is where all of the teams from their prefecture join up and have a battle to duke it out to see who gets sent on into the larger tournaments. And it's really, really interesting. So it's good. And we get to see them battle against 2 different teams. We get to see them battle Data Tech. And we get to see them battle against Blue Castle one more time. So yeah, and the Blue Castle battle really takes forever, but it's so good. It's really, really interesting. So the plotline starts really easily with a morale boost. So by the end of it, they realize that, hey, we're going to battle these teams, and we're one of the worst teams, right? Like, they call them the Crippled Crows or the, Fallen Champions or something like that, because Karasuna back in the day was awesome, and then Karasuna was bad, and they still are bad. But the team wants to take that back. The team wants to make sure that the third years get a great year, and that they finally regain their honor, basically, right? They regain their status as the leaders of this place, right? And so, in order to help them, Kyoko finds an old banner that says "Fly High" or something like that. Or, don't stop flying. Like, I can't remember exactly what it says, but it says something like fly or Karasuno or something like that. And it's a big black banner, and she shows it to them. And then she gives them a good luck. She says good luck to them, and that really means a lot to them as well. But with that on the way, they kind of decide that it's time to prepare for the tournament, and they go and they get ready and they start, right? And then their first big battle is the battle with Data Tech. Now, Data Tech was the team that managed to close down completely, close Asumane down, right? And that's why Asumane was off the team when Hinata joined at the beginning of the last arc, right? So now it's their battle against them once again. And with Hinata's quick sense, and with, with Asumane's kind of desire for revenge, basically, and with Nishinoya wanting to use all of the new skills that he developed, they managed to battle it out, and it's really, really good. There's even a moment where they need to take a time off because they're just like having to deal with some issues. However, they managed to scrape out a win. I think actually they don't manage to scrape it out. They completely yank it from the hands of Data Tech, because if I remember correctly, they win 2-0. So they played 2 games and they won both of them, because volleyball is best 2 out of 3. And it was a really tough battle, though, because even though Hinata is great, there's this guy on the other team that was just too good at blocking them, at making sure that it was difficult for them to score. But they managed to work around that in the second game by altering the lineup slightly in order to offset the fact that this guy was going to be in the front of the field at the same time as Hinata. So it's really interesting. I'm not exactly sure how the positioning of the people on the field works yet, but it kind of makes sense while it's happening, right? So yeah, and then they battle against Blue Castle. Now, if I remember correctly, they beat Blue Castle in the first time that they played them back in the practice match. But now Blue Castle actually has their main player, Oikawa, who happens to be Kageyama's old senpai. And this basically takes up most of the arc, actually. And it's really, really great. We get to see basically a setter battle, right? So we get to see Kageyama against Oikawa, and they're really duking it out. But Kageyama still has a lot of greenness to him. He's still very young. He's still not really mature, and he also still has this kind of his king of the court persona, which is basically that he does everything by himself and he expects everyone else around him to adjust to him instead of him adjusting to his players, right? And we get to see them realize this as the game goes on. We get to have Sawamura show up and play as the setter for a while, and through this he teaches Kageyama a lot. Like the fact that they managed to make this a teaching moment and then Kageyama's character development immediately happening is so good. Just the way that the plotline develops is just so good because it all happens while they're playing volleyball, right? So there really is no like what's it called? There's no like downtime where they get to realize things. It's just happening in the moment, and it's so good. The way Furidate writes is really well done. I really, really like it. In terms of characters, the team is basically the same. I already mentioned them. It's Hinata, Kageyama, Tsukishima, Asumane, Tanaka, Nishinoya, and what's the other one? Sagawura, the captain guy. I remember the name is Sagawara, I think. And them seven, sorry, are you know, the team that's the main team, right? Then we have the introduction of Toru Oikawa, who is Kageyama senpai. He's actually a really good player, but he's not a natural genius like Kageyama. He's someone that worked really, really hard, and ultimately he is someone that understands his teammates and that helps him be better than Kageyama in general, right? So it's really, really good. And with Oikawa, we have Hajime Iwaisumi, who happens to be Oikawa's childhood friend, and that also gives them an extra bit of connection that is really, really powerful and helps them, you know, throughout the game, right? So it's really, really good. And then, of course, we have Aone Takanori, who is the guy from Data Tech, who was the Iron Wall character. He was the best player on that other team, and he basically completely shut down Azumane, and he almost shut down Hinata by the end of the game. So really, really good stuff. I like how Hinata makes a lot of friends with all of the players from other teams just by being so earnest and so kind. And I really like him as a character. He's really good. And he has a lot of great moments with Nishinoya where they just kind of have the same energy, but they're really fun. And I really enjoy all of the moments with Hinata. He's just such a fun, wholesome character. I like him a lot. In terms of world building, we have a lot of development of the teams in the same prefecture as Karasuno, like Blue Castle, like Data Tech, and some other ones that we get to see them kind of battle with, which are also pretty interesting. So, yeah, I think that's cool. We also get to see a lot of more volleyball terms. We get to see what a setter dump is. We get to see what liberos are actually doing, why they switch in and out. We get to develop some other kind of skills that, you know, are important to these teams. And, you know, it's really, really interesting. And I quite liked it. I thought it was really well done. Again, the way that the amount of effort and care that is put into the volleyball aspect of this shine through is really, really good. It's very similar to all of the sciencey bits in Dr. Stone. Like, you just know there's a lot of effort put into it and that it's not completely BS. There's a lot of real life, like, thought process put into it. And I like that a lot. In terms of the artwork, again, it's just so, so great. However, there is a small complaint, and there's also a small complaint about the plot line, but it really doesn't matter all that much. I don't want to say it because that's too much of a spoiler, so I'll leave it for the next video. But there is a small problem with the artwork, and it's that too many characters look very similar. And the problem isn't necessarily that they're exactly the same. The problem is that their hairstyle, which is this kind of windswept, you know, sweaty hairstyle, kind of vaguely pointed, plus their general face shapes are all really similar. Like, there was times where I was looking at a panel, and because I couldn't see the jersey too much, I really couldn't see the colors too clearly. I thought that I was looking at Hinata when I was actually looking at Oikawa. Now, that's totally fair that it might be my problem, but I feel that the character variation here is not very strong. Tsukishima also kind of looks like Hinata a few times. You could say that Sawamura, the other guy, the setter, also kind of looks like Hinata a lot. Kageyama and the captain also look very similar. Tanaka is very distinct. Asumane is very distinct. And Hinata is generally distinct because he usually has a black jersey, so you can clearly see, and he's also really small. But a lot of the other characters are very, not forgettable, but they're very easy to blend in. And a lot of it also has to do with the fact that there's just so many names and characters introduced in such a short time. Like, it's only been 70 chapters, and I think that there's already, like, 50 characters. So there's a lot of characters, right? And most of them don't really matter at the end of the day. The only people that matter are the team plus Ukai plus Kyoko plus Take-chan. So I understand that. But I feel that sometimes there's too many characters that look the same. And it kind of makes it difficult, especially when you're trying to follow the game. And you kind of get confused about which side is playing because you can't really tell what jersey they're wearing. You can just kind of see their face. They're very intense facial features. And you kind of get lost in who is who, right? But it's a very minor complaint. At the end of the day, I do understand who is who just by context clues and what happens and how it moves. But there were moments where I experienced some confusion, specifically over Hinata and Oikawa. So that's just what it is, right? In terms of fan service, there was none. There hasn't really been any, at least for like fan service as in boobies and titties, boobies, titties, ass kind of things. There hasn't been any. It's very unlikely that there will be any, but it's just what it is. I always just mention it because I think it's an important part that some people might care about, some people might not like, and so it's important to mention it. And I always say something along these lines. But yeah, in terms of a rating, this continues to be a 5 out of 5. However, the outcome was slightly disappointing, not because I felt that I didn't like the outcome. I think the outcome makes sense because you can't have them, do great every time. But there's a mild disappointment because it just kind of feels too fast, too quick, like it just kind of happened. And I think that there would have been a lot of buildup. It would have been a lot more satisfying. The difficulty that you would feel at the end would have been a lot more satisfying if it kind of lasted longer. But also, I kind of understand that sometimes, what happened just happens like that in real life. And so I understand that as well. But there was a very mild sense of disappointment when I read chapter 71. Chapter 60 something, whenever the thing happens, that then turns into the end of the story, right? So when that happens, I did feel a slight sense of disappointment, but generally it was so good. It was really, really enjoyable. So yeah, that's all I have to say. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. If you did, please leave a like, subscribe, and comment down below. Let me know what you thought. And thank you guys very much for watching. See you guys later.